Hello and welcome back. My name is Alexander Shelley and I'm the Music Director of Canada's National Arts Centre Orchestra. Welcome to our fourth video on conducting technique. I hope you've enjoyed the last few. If you haven't seen them, do look back on them before you look through this video just to get an idea of what we've worked on already, because I'm going to be building on those conversations in this video. Up until now, we've looked at everything that happens in this box as we described it in the first video, which includes the right hand and everything the right hand does. The basic beating, giving upbeats, indicating dynamic, and something else that we'll talk about shortly, which is phrasing. But in this video, I wanted to introduce this box and the left hand. Hopefully, everything that we've done here has been internalized. And I'd like to start off by suggesting some simple exercises for introducing the left hand. Take the very first beating pattern that we practice. Take a 4/4 with the smooth planes. No impulses from the wrist or from the elbow for the moment. Just practice doing this motion and very simply move your hand around. Scratch your tummy, scratch your nose, point to your ear, touch your head. Do whatever you want. You can even try talking as I am while this is going on. Keep this consistent. You can put a metronome if you want to make sure that you're staying on the beats of the metronome. But first and foremost, before we really start using the left hand, it's important to develop a certain degree of independence. This is something you might want to do over several days or weeks. Just get used to this working, you beating for the group while being able to talk and use the left hand independently. Now we're going to talk about what the left hand can do. Well, it's just as versatile as the right hand, and as your conducting technique develops and as your experience develops, you may choose to indicate everything with the left hand. There's really no limit to what it can do. And when it comes to the beating patterns, giving entries, things that we've talked about in the last two videos, all the same principles apply as with the right hand. So if you're going to beat a bar, keep it nice and smooth, learn how to do that, learn how to give impulses. There are a lot of other things that the left hand offers us in conjunction with the right hand. So let's say you feel it's important during a piece to carry on beating with this hand. Well, what can it do? It can give entries. It can give gestures to people to enter. It could indicate dynamic, softening. It can indicate dynamic, getting stronger. It can say to people who've made an incorrect entry, perhaps, stop. You could indicate listen to other people. Take the first violins, for example. Just get their attention, point to your ear, and point to another player. You can indicate that phrasing should be very smooth by introducing horizontal gestures back and forth. When you're working with string players, you can indicate an up bow or a down bow. All of these gestures and many more can be practiced in conjunction with the right hand, so that while you're beating and while you're keeping the rhythm going, you also have the option of doing this. Those gestures, you can have a look back on what I just made, but there are some fundamentals. There's the stop, there's the stronger, there's the softer. These are signs that can be used outside of music. They're internationally understandable. Stop, more, less, listen, look, smooth, sharp. You can think of gestures yourself. You can look at conductors that you love and respect and have a look at the gestures they make. But it's a very versatile tool. And I would practice, once the independence side of things is established for you, I'd practice thinking about all the ways that you can use the left hand. There are two basic ideas. There's the vertical plane and indicating sharp gestures, and then there's the horizontal and circular plane, where you can indicate length of phrases. And these motions, these ultimately elegant motions that you make, will have an effect on sound. Let me give you some examples. Let's say again we're beating in 4/4, and I want to give a sharp indication, perhaps for a trumpet entry. On the third beat, 1 and ba. That's how I'd approach it. I would take on the second beat, the full beat up, and then down on the third beat, just like when you're giving an upbeat. 1 and ba. 1 and ba. You can do the same thing from the third beat to the fourth beat. You just need to make sure that your left hand goes up in time with the third beat and down. For example, 1, 2, 3, ba. When you're using your left hand to give entries like that, remember that the same rules apply as with the right hand. Musicians are looking for impulses from you. And it's important to remember quite a simple rule. If musicians are playing on a beat, they need to be given from you an impulse on the beat before. So let's say we're all going to say yes on the third beat of a bar. I need to give the impulse on the second beat. 1 and yes. 1, 2, yes. And then I don't really need to worry about hitting the third beat too hard. For example, 1 and 3. They've got all the energy they need from me on that second beat. If, however, the musicians or we are thinking of saying yes off the third beat, so after the third beat has happened, so on 3 and, then the impulse has to come on that beat and not on the second beat. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. This is a very important rule, both for the right hand and the left hand to remember, because otherwise you end up giving two impulses that could be misunderstood. The first could be understood as the impulse. Let me give you an example. 1, 2, yes, 3, yes. Somebody could see that first impulse on 2 and sing incorrectly. Correct would be 1, 2, 3, yes. Incorrect, 1, 2, 3, yes, because you've given two impulses for them. I hope that's clear. But this applies to the right hand. It also applies to the left hand. When we are trying to indicate phrasing or dynamics, using a soft gesture in the left hand is very useful. You can practice this independently of the right hand by finding a plane and imagine you're just stroking the top of it. Well, nice carpet here on this level. The carpet could be down here, the carpet could be up here, but imagine just the top of that surface being there, and you indicating to musicians that there's a calmness, a smoothness in the sound. You can use figures of 8 if you want to have continuity in phrases. And remember also that you're not just working on this plane in front of you, but there are many musicians who'll be seeing you from the side. So going sideways and using this plane in front of you and towards you is also very useful. Anyway, I would submit to you the idea of practicing independence of the two hands. You can do that simply by hanging the arm and moving it around, but also finding gestures that for you speak strongly to an emotion that you're trying to indicate to the musicians. Practice also the clarity of those motions, just as with the right hand, learning where you need to do impulses and where impulses are not required. So those are a few ideas about how to practice the right hand and the left hand techniques together, how to create independence between the two sides. And it's important to practice these things. At the beginning, it's very hard. Creating independence between the two. We all know how easy it is to do this when you're conducting, to mirror your gestures on both sides of the body. I can't emphasize enough how useful it is to develop this independence. The first days, the first weeks will be difficult, maybe even the first months. It takes many years to refine, and it's always a refining process. But please believe me that it's worthwhile, because ultimately you have far more opportunities to express yourself if you have that independence. And also, if these independent sides of your body are relaxed and internalize the movements, you can start to listen and look more when you're conducting. So good luck with that. In our next videos, we're going to talk a little bit about phrasing and how to use both arms to phrase. Thanks for watching, and I hope I see you in our next video.